Madison Cole's midnight blue Bentley glided along an unfamiliar stretch of Detroit's East Side industrial district, its glossy paint catching distorted reflections of rusted factory windows and neon-flickered puddles. The billionaire tech entrepreneur, an ebony-skinned woman who had been on the cover of Forbes more times than she could remember, was no stranger to harsh cityscapes. Her first code had been written on a salvaged laptop in a cramped one-bedroom on Warren Avenue. But tonight those streets vibrated with a dread she could feel in her molars. It had been 23 hours since her newborn triplets had vanished from St. Vincent's private maternity pavilion, and every ticking second pummeled her chest like a mallet. Madison had mobilized every tool money could buy and every favor respect could demand. 40 detectives from 3 counties combed highways. Drones hovered above sewer grates. Digital billboards flashed a $300,000 reward beside grainy ultrasound images. Yet she had felt useless, until, in a moment that made the city's noisy grid fade to a pure ringing silence, she spotted a lone silhouette sprawled beneath a dead street lamp. A lanky white boy, maybe 12 years old, cradling 2 bundled infants. She braked so hard the Bentley's tires screamed. Adrenaline rocketed through her veins. The boy blinked into the sudden headlight glare, shielding the babies with his thin frame as if expecting to be hit. Madison threw her door open and stumbled onto the slick asphalt, knees buckling in designer stilettos that suddenly felt obscene. She dropped to eye level with him, rain peppering her locks. "Please," the boy whispered, voice raw. "They're hungry. I can't get Em to stop shivering." Her gaze darted to the babies' faces, and the universe lurched. The broad nose she'd inherited from her Ghanaian grandmother, the cleft in the chin that traced to her Creole grandfather, even the faint milk coffee skin tone predicted by the genetic counselor. They were her children. Unmistakable. She reached to steady herself against the Bentley's fender, but missed and landed on her palms in the cold water, trembling so violently she could hardly breathe. Tears blurred her vision, streaking mascara down cheeks she normally guarded like armor. The boy watched wide-eyed. His denim jacket was several sizes too small, sleeves ragged at the wrists. Yet he held the babies with a precision Madison recognized from neonatal nurses, supporting heads, checking their nostrils for obstruction, rocking in a gentle rhythm. "What's your name?" Madison managed, voice hoarse. "Noah," he said. "Noah James." "And the babies? Do you know their names?" "Just what was written on scrap paper inside the box." He shifted, revealing faint biro letters on their cloth diapers. Rosalie, Maya, and Zeke. The very names Madison and her ex-husband Evan had chosen during endless nursery planning nights. Madison's pulse hammered. "There were 3, she whispered. "My God, Zeke isn't here." Noah's shoulders slumped. He nodded toward a cardboard bassinet tucked beneath a Feldstop sign. "He's the runt," Noah said softly. "Felt like ice when I found him at 3 a.m. He wasn't crying. Couldn't." Madison crawled on hands and knees through the rain, heart detonating with each inch, and peeled back a graying towel. The tiny boy inside was motionless, lips violet. She pressed trembling fingers to his sternum. A whimper, weak, but there. She scooped the weightless bundle to her chest, body swiveling into primal autopilot. Heat, breath, protection. These instincts eclipsed executive composure and billion-dollar poise. In that drenching shadow of shuttered factories a tableau formed. A black woman in an evening gown pressed against a homeless white boy in ragged denim. 3 biracial infants between them like fragile constellations, and above, broken security lights flickering as if undecided whether to bear witness. Madison forced her voice steady. "Noah, I'm their mother. Those babies are my flesh and blood." Noah's chin lifted, disbelief battling hope. "If you got all that money, why were they in a dumpster?" She swallowed shards of sorrow. "Evan." She'd thought his postpartum anxiety mere nerves, a 2 a.m. swirl of social media pressure and corporate lawsuits. But she'd awoken from a fentanyl-dulled nap after 30 hours of labor to an empty bassinet, a curt text. "You'll thank me when the noise stops." Then nothing. She'd assumed kidnapping, but now, staring at Noah's hollow eyes, she saw a darker possibility. Evan had abandoned them out of a terror she still couldn't fathom. Her voice cracked. "Someone I trusted panicked." "But you saved them. Without you they'd be." She couldn't finish. Noah shifted awkwardly. "I just heard them squeaking behind St. Vincent's generator. I've been sleeping in loading bays since the shelter got full. Couldn't leave him." Madison inspected his arms. Bruises, track-like scratches, a healed cigarette burn shaped like a star. A life story etched in scar tissue. The weight of gratitude and guilt nearly felled her. She, with penthouse nurseries and titanium car seats, had lost her babies. This boy, cast aside by every adult system, had preserved them through a night that might have spelled death. A siren wailed somewhere distant, maybe one of her own search convoys. She inhaled. Noah, we need a NICU. Now, get in. He stiffened, eyes flicking between her polished nails and the Bentley's leather interior. Ma'am, I'm filthy. You're a hero, she replied. Heroes right up front. Inside the car, Madison switched the heated seats on high, cradling Zeke against her collarbone while Noah balanced Rosalie and Maya between wool coats from the trunk. As they sped west toward St. Gabriel Children's Hospital, Madison called her chief of security on speaker. I found them. Prep NICU room 7. And bring Child Protective Services liaison, priority. The boy who saved them stays with us. Noah's jaw twitched. They'll put me back in county. Fear pooled in his voice. Not happening, Madison said. You're under my protection. Rain hammered the windshield. Madison risked a glance in the rearview. Zeke's eyelids fluttered. Each rise of his chest was a miracle. She whispered ancestral Chui lullabies, a language she rarely used outside family gatherings, but it felt like the only music strong enough to guide a soul back from the edge. 15 white-coated professionals swarmed the emergency bay when they arrived. Madison carried Zeke. Noah followed with the girls, refusing to relinquish them until a nurse with kind eyes promised she wouldn't let them out of sight. Even then, Noah paced like a sentinel outside the NICU glass, gaze flicking between incubators and Madison's silhouette beside them. Dr. Elaine Park, a Korean-American neonatologist whose fellowship Madison had once funded, pulled her aside. Zeke is critical but stabilizing. Hypothermia, hypoglycemia, shallow respirations. Another hour, and we'd have lost him. The girls are dehydrated but solid. Madison exhaled for what felt like the first time in a day. Relief buckled her knees. She braced against the window. Beyond the glass, Noah hovered protectively over Maya's incubator, whisper singing a Motown tune he must have absorbed from city bus radios. Maya's heart rate trace leveled when he sang. Dr. Park followed her gaze. The boy has an extraordinary calming effect. Madison nodded. He kept them alive on the street. He's part of their story now. Hours blurred, paperwork, IV drips, tube feedings, flashes of Zeke's vital signs, texts from security staff confirming Evan was untraceable. At dawn, Madison found Noah asleep in a plastic chair, forehead pressed to the glass, a daisy chain of hospital bracelets he'd twisted into pretend rings around his fingers. She draped a blanket over him, and in doing so noticed the emergency ward's fluorescent light revealing freckles across his cheeks, remnants of childhood innocence not yet eroded by the streets. A social worker, Miss Ramirez, approached with a tablet. Miss Cole, Child Services flagged Noah. He's a chronic runaway, 5 placements in 2 years. Legally, we must move him to a transitional shelter. Madison squared her shoulders, CEO Steele returning. He's unsafe there. He'll stay as my ward until we secure guardianship. It isn't that simple. It can be, Madison cut in, voice low. I'll sign a 24-hour emergency custody. Draft it. Miss Ramirez hesitated, then nodded. He trusts you. Might be his only anchor. Madison watched Zeke's lungs inflate within the incubator. Anchor, she thought. Noah had anchored 3 drifting lives to Earth. She would return the favor. That afternoon, while Noah showered and changed into scrubs 2 sizes too big, Madison's phone buzzed with an unknown number. A voice she recognized chilled her marrow. Madison, it's Evan. Her pulse spiked. She stepped into a vacant consultation room. Where are you? In Windsor. I'm coming back. He sounded ragged, as if nights on the run had sanded his once silky baritone down to splinters. I made mistakes. Please, how are the babies? Madison's jaw clenched. Images of Zeke's blue lips flashed violent red. Alive because a street kid found them in a dumpster. Silence pulsed. Then a kid. His name is Noah. He shivered under rain while singing them to sleep. Meanwhile, their father, white, privileged, Ivy League father, vanished. Evan's breathing fractured. I thought they'd be found instantly by hospital staff. I was scared they'd grow up in headlines, targets, hostages. I panicked. Madison felt pity war with rage. You acted on fear. Noah acted on love. Remember that. I'm crossing the bridge now, Evan whispered. Let me see them. Let me make it right. She stared out at the river beyond the hospital, its winter surface a sheet of hammered pewter. Come, but understand this. You're not the sole parent anymore. Something changed in that alley. When she returned to the ward, Zeke was breathing unassisted. Noah leaned over the incubator, a picture book open, explaining with earnest concentration how rockets escaped gravity. Madison touched his shoulder. He startled, then relaxed under her smile. Noah, Evan, my ex, he's coming. Noah's brows knit. The man who left them? The same. Things may get complicated. I need you to know nothing changes about how we value you. He glanced at the triplets, then at his own scarred hands. People say that, then change their minds. I won't. Her voice thickened. And you'll hold me to it. 3 hours later, Evan strode through the ward, rumpled and wide-eyed. Tall, alabaster-skinned, once camera-perfect, now worn thin. He froze at the sight of Noah, rocking rosily with clinical precision. Madison intercepted him. Lower your voice. Zeke just stabilized. Evan's eyes filled. Zeke, he's okay? Because Noah carried him 6 blocks in freezing rain. Sit down before you collapse. Noah tensed when Evan approached. Evan knelt awkwardly. You're Noah, right? His voice cracked. Thank you for saving my children. Noah shrugged, focus on Rosalie. Someone had to. The understatement sliced through the adult's brittle propriety. Evan looked small, humbled. Over the next days, hospital's rhythms settled. Beeped lullabies of monitors, soft plastic rustle of diapers, Noah's Motown humming. Medical staff began consulting him. He learned each baby's feeding cues. Madison's legal team expedited emergency custody. Noah's case file read like a tragedy. Mother overdosed in a suburban motel, father imprisoned, grandparents unreachable. Foster homes churned him out after behavioral flare-ups, shoplifting granola bars, punching bullies who mocked his freckles. Madison read the file in her office overlooking the NCU, tears blotting margins. She envisioned the state assigning him to another shelter where cruelty crowded every corner. Unthinkable. On the 4th morning, Zeke graduated from incubator to open crib. Madison and Noah wheeled him down a hallway swirling with rumors of their improbable alliance. A nurse whispered, like St. Francis with animals. Madison smiled, St. Noah with infants. That afternoon, Ms. Ramirez returned with paperwork. Guardianship hearing set for next week. But Evan's reappearance complicates adoption. The court will weigh biological ties and the children's best interests. Madison inhaled slowly. Evan supports Noah's adoption. He said so. Ms. Ramirez raised brows. He puts that in writing? He will. Madison's eyes flared a silent directive across the ward. Evan, still drained but steadier, strode over. Without prompting, he asked for a pen. On hospital letterhead he wrote, *I, Evan Whitaker, relinquish any objection to Madison Cole adopting Noah James. He saved my children and deserves the security we failed to give him. *. Noah read the note twice, lips parted. For the first time, his face softened into something like childhood. That evening, the hospital released the triplets to Madison's Lakeshore mansion, equipped overnight with neonatal tech and a round-the-clock nursing team. Noah rode in the middle row of an SUV, flanked by bassinets. Evan followed in his own car. 2 security SUVs bracketed the convoy. Inside the mansion's lofty foyer, polished mahogany floors, modern art. Noah hovered uncertainly, one shoelace broken. Marble and brass reflected back a boy who had only mirrored himself in puddles. Madison crouched beside him. This house is huge, but we'll carve space that feels like yours. Deal. He shrugged, marveling at a Chihuly chandelier, shaped like molten comets. That first night, thunder rolled over Lake St. Clair. Zeke startled awake, lungs squeaking. Madison tried rocking. Evan tried formula, still he wailed. Noah slipped in, whispered, he needs heartbeat, and placed the baby skin to skin against his own chest. Within minutes, Zeke collapsed into sleep. Madison watched a bloom on Evan's face. Days bled into a rhythm of feed burp nap, pediatric checkups, and legal prep. Reporters camped at the gate, headlines breathless. Black female billionaire takes in homeless white hero who saved triplets. Social media itched for scandal, but what they found was harder to sensationalize. A black woman, a white boy, and 3 biracial infants forging improbable family out of mutual need. At the guardianship hearing, the judge, a stoic black woman named Honorable Patrice Vaughn, listened as Dr. Park testified that Noah's intervention was the decisive factor in the triplets' survival. Ms. Ramirez spoke of Noah's traumatic history, stating, for the first time he exhibits secure attachment, specifically to Ms. Cole and to the infants. Evan approached the witness stand and addressed the courtroom. I made a catastrophic decision out of fear of publicity. Noah showed courage I lacked. I stand behind his adoption. Judge Vaughn studied Noah over her glasses. Young man, do you wish to become part of the Cole Whitaker family? Noah's voice barely reached the microphone. Only if they promise I can still read the baby's stories. And maybe, learn to code like Miss Cole. A ripple of warm laughter softened oak-paneled seriousness. Madison squeezed Noah's shoulder. Non-negotiable. Gavel struck. Petition for adoption is hereby granted. Months unfolded. Noah learned Python from Madison between diaper changes. Evan attended therapy, dismantling layers of perfectionism. The triplets grew into chubby, bright-eyed comets orbiting their unlikely brother's gravity. Rosalie's first word was no. Maya's first laugh erupted at his off-key rendition of Ain't No Mountain High Enough, and Zeke clung to Noah's hoodies like Velcro. On the anniversary of their alleyway encounter, Madison organized a small celebration, a bonfire on the mansion's beach. Detroit's skyline blinked across the dark water. Friends gathered. Dr. Park, Miss Ramirez, Judge Vaughn, nurses who had rocked midnight shifts. Madison handed Noah a slim box. Inside lay a silver medical alert tag engraved Noah Cole Whitaker, guardian of Rosalie, Maya, and Zeke, with a tiny rocket etched beneath. Noah's freckles glowed by firelight. Does this mean I'm official nanny or something? Madison pulled him into a hug. It means you're the reason our universe didn't collapse. Titles can't capture that. Later, as flames crackled and the triplets dozed in a portable crib, Madison stood beside Evan. Waves frothed black and white on the shore, mingling like their family's improbable palette. She caught Evan watching Noah trace constellations for the babies. Do you still regret what happened? She asked quietly. Every second, he answered. But regrets just rot unless we build something from it. Noah's the proof. They fell into silence, listening to Noah's voice carry over wind. That bright one is serious. When sailors got lost, they followed it home. Madison glanced at the boy who had followed instinct under a broken street lamp and guided 3 star-bright lives out of darkness. The world had labeled her billionaire innovator, Evan fallen socialite, Noah runaway. But under that infinite Michigan sky, those labels disintegrated like ash. What remained was a story stitched of terror, mistakes, and love so audacious it rewrote destinies. And as the lake's night breeze carried Noah's voice and the triplets' soft murmurs into the great humming hush, Madison understood that sometimes the universe chooses its own architects, a terrified father, a homeless boy, and a mother willing to turn every ounce of power toward redemption. In their collision, they had hacked the code of family, compiling something no magazine cover would fully capture, but that every human heart, watching, would instantly recognize as hope.